let's crack into it, hey? So we've got the lovely Kiara here with us today from National. Now, I always get this.
It's a long one. National
Salon.
Salon and Spa Recruitment.
Right, Salon Spa Recruitment. To give us some insights on recruitment, it's obviously been a big challenge for us, ongoing, workforce-wise. We're not out of the woods, and I don't think we're going to be out of the woods for, an extended period of time. So I'm really keen to hear your insights, Kiara. We've got strategies and things that, we have been doing to try and increase the likelihood that we stand out as far as, job advertisement goes and, the platforms that we're using. But I think it'd be really cool to hear from an insider on what's exactly happening and how do we put ourselves into a position where in a difficult market, we're still going to be able to be successful in potentially attracting and hiring those candidates.
Yeah, of course, Chrissy. So it is still competitive. It has been for a while, but we're definitely getting really good hires at the moment as well. Mm-hmm. So, there's lots of different factors when you're strategizing to recruit. It depends on, I guess, getting really clear about your own business, what you can offer. And it's not always just money that we're offering. It's one of the biggest things across all industries is work-life balance. So I know it's hard in our industry. We need to work Saturdays, we need to work late nights, but having that flexibility in hours as well. When we put something out there, we might think, I need a senior hairdresser with 10 years experience that just is going to step right in and be able to do everything. It's not always the case that we might just have this perfect person come along. So it's really about thinking outside the box. So, for example, beauty therapists, people might want someone that has confidence in all treatments. So 10, 20 treatments. It's about looking and thinking, well, you know what, if the right person comes along that is passionate, is reliable, is really going to drive my business and sales, could I potentially train them in some of these areas? If we're looking for a senior hairdresser, could I, potentially look at a really advanced second year or a really advanced third year to get them in? We might think, look, I need someone every single Saturday, or I need someone every single Thursday night. If we look at it being a little bit more flexible with those hours as well and thinking, well, you know what, could I have someone give them every third Saturday off? If that perfect person came along or someone that was close to perfect, could I work that in with my business? So it's about not being rigid with the guidelines of who you're looking for, being a little bit more flexible. So what we basically do when we put an ad out there, we make the ad as broad as possible. So it's really about, this is the minimum skill set I need, or this is the minimum qualifications. Make it really, really broad in regards to hours, really flexible, even school-based hours. Cast the net really wide. Draw as many potentially suitable applicants in, and then you've got more to pick from. So you might get someone that comes in and says, I can only work Tuesday through to Friday, 10 till 2. And it might not work for your business, but it's just giving you that broader scope or broader pool of people to work with. So really, in today's market, it is more competitive, as we all know, with hairdressers, with beauty, across the board. It's just being more open to people with less skills. And people that need a little bit more flexibility as well.
So Kiara, a few moons ago, if we'd had a candidate come to us sort of dictating hours and terms of contracts, and it would have been a red flag. Like, I've got to be honest, in terms of, when someone comes to you and says things like, I can only work school hours, I'm not prepared to work weekends, I'm not prepared to work nights. Like, what's your advice for navigating somebody that potentially may be not a good fit for your business because they are coming from a dictator type philosophy, versus someone that is looking for some flexibility, but could be, because I think sometimes business owners get their back up a little bit and go, hang on a minute, like, you want all of these things and, we're trying our best to maybe accommodate some of this stuff, but I really don't like your attitude, we're kind of like, oh, is this a trait characteristic misalignment here, or is this literally just someone interested, willing, motivated, but needs to get their needs met in some way?
Yep. So it's a really good question. We come across, there are a few out there that will come straight off the bat and say, I want $40 an hour. I'm not working Thursday nights. I'm not working Saturdays. That type of personality fit, you'll know straight from the bat if they're going to be demanding. If they're demanding in the interview, they're going to be demanding at work as well. So it's more about looking at those people that mums that are returning to the workforce that might not have that flexibility or might need a little bit of a later start, a 9:30 start or a 10 o'clock start. It's when you speak to the candidate, it's really finding out the reasons why. So I usually ask really open-ended questions when I'm interviewing. So I won't say, I need someone every Saturday, every Thursday. Does that work for you? I'll ask them, what are you looking for in regards to hours? Are you looking for full-time or part-time? They'll tell me, and I'll say, can you work any days, any times? Then they'll start to tell you, oh, look, I've actually got the kids on a Tuesday and Wednesday. I've got to do school drop-off. I could get there by 9:30. So they'll start giving you reasons behind it. People that are reasonable and want to work with you in your business will give you reasons as to why. There might be people, for example, that maybe their boyfriend's got a fly in, fly out job and they only get to see them every second weekend. So they might ask, I really value spending that time with him. Work-life balance is important to me. If I could have every second Saturday off, that would work for me. So if there's an explanation behind it and they're trying to work in with you and the needs of your business, I think that's something that you could potentially work with. But if you get someone coming in straight away demanding, it's a big red flag.
Yeah.
And that's why we sort of say be open to those people that might not have as much experience or might not have as much skills, because someone with 10 years experience in all treatments and full confidence, they could be really ego driven. They could be really hard to work with as well. We always say you can teach skills, you can't teach personality, motivation, reliability.
Absolutely. And then what about on, I think one of the biggest, and if I was to maybe capture some of the questions that I'm getting, particularly from this group, about pay negotiation. It's most candidates are wanting to negotiate pay now. What are your guidelines, or any tips and tricks on, again, because I think the back goes up, when we've got someone coming in saying, well, I would like $40 an hour. And the business owners have come a long way now in terms of, back in the day, it used to be like, well, no, that's the rate. That, you can work yourself up to the $40 an hour, but it is how it is. Whereas now there's a real hesitation from the business owners to not negotiate, like to just, sometimes I think it comes from a place of when you see a good candidate, like they look great on paper, they might have interviewed extremely well. The only thing that you don't have is real hard evidence that they're going to be able to meet KPIs or they're going to be able to do what they want to do. So they're a bit stuck. They're like, well, I don't want to let this person go because they're a mate, they've interviewed well, all the reference checks are great, but then they want this $45 an hour. What do I do? And you see the business owners scrambling to look at their break evens and how are they going to make this work, and any advice for that sort of thing?
Yeah, sure. It is a tricky subject. I think with a lot of the roles being so competitive over the last couple of years, that salons are offering higher wages to lesser qualified candidates or lesser experienced candidates. So it really is the candidates market in determining the pay rate. I guess just having an open and honest conversation with them, definitely reference checks, definitely speaking to past owners of the businesses on if they were meeting their KPIs, having a chat to them, about bonus or commission structures, and not just saying if you make 3 times or 4 times your wage, you'll get a bonus. It's really sitting down with them and saying, well, look, this is what's achievable. This is what some of our top earners are making. It's giving them those monetary figures. So this is what our top earners are making. We could expect you to be making this by XYZ. That would bring your hourly rate up to whatever. Having a more detailed conversation with them, and being realistic, asking them what they were on in their previous role. I think there's a few that will come out there that will be cheeky and ask for a very high wage, those $40+ per hour. Yep. Obviously, when you do the reference check, ask what pay rate they were on, and whether it's a building block as well. So whether we start them on casual, so they're on a higher rate of pay with view to move to permanency in a few months, and then look at reassessing that as well. So it's a hard one because you don't want to lose them. Most of the candidates that interview with you, they'll be interviewing at a few other places as well. They'll look at the big things they'll look at is money. So base rate plus potential of what they can earn, work-life balance, so flexibility in hours, career progression, if there's any career progression around that as well. I'd be having an honest chat with them of, are you looking at other roles?
I agree.
What's important to you in the job role? What's your main important things that you're looking for? Because it might not just be money as well. At the end of the day, they might have someone down the road that's offering them the $40 an hour, but they're not flexible with the working hours, or there might not be career progression opportunities. Or even looking at things like for a senior hairdresser, for example, if they really love colour work and they don't really like styling and cutting, is there any way to use that in your business that they can just focus on what they love, or focus more on what they love? So it's about having that open conversation with them, I guess, giving them the offer, but saying to them as well, but you don't want to lose them just on $1 or $2 an hour. So it's about having that open conversation, saying, this is what I'd like to offer, this is what I can offer, come back to me. If there's another job that's offering you something different, we really like you, we'd really love to have you on board. So come back to me and discuss it with me before taking something else.
Yep. Awesome.
So I don't have a clear, concise answer for it, because it is tricky.
That's the challenge with most of this stuff. It's a case-by-case situation, and I think what you might have had a conversation with regarding one candidate that might have gone away and went somewhere else or whatever, when you get the next one along, you've got to take each person as an individual.
Yeah.
Because I know I've had conversations with business owners that say, they're looking for a manager or whatever might be, and they'll say, oh, she wants $42 an hour. I don't really know what to do about that. And to a certain degree, like I've said, what's the reason? Like, what are they presenting? A single mum, for example, that might need a certain amount of money to, support lifestyle and things like that, could be completely different to an 18-year-old that's living at home with mum and dad that's commanding $42 an hour off the bat. Like, I think it's really important to look at those individual circumstances and the why behind some of the requests.
Definitely. And obviously what they can offer you. So if they're asking for $42 an hour, across any of the most roles in the industry, that's a high rate. So why? What can they offer you? And that's, again, going back to reference checks as well. Depending on how much information the previous employers are willing to give you, but how much, were they hitting their KPIs? Were they exceeding their KPIs? Were they, great with customer service? Were they, were their rebooking rates really good? It is a give and take. It's what they can offer at the same time. And without trialing someone for a few months, the best way to find out is through reference checks.
Yeah. Yep.
Can I just ask something about reference checks? So I'll be honest, I've kind of given up on them. So in Canberra, when you leave a salon, 9 times out of 10, now I wouldn't do this, but 9 times out of 10, your manager or owner or what have you will give you a shocking reference just because you left. Like, they're quite spiteful. So what a lot of people do is they will put a colleague that isn't in any sort of managerial role. So they actually don't have the ability to give those kinds of answers. They don't know.
Yeah.
And or, their friend or their sister as their manager, and you can tell quite clearly who they are. So I still do them on the random, but they don't produce me any kind of decent information to go off. So
sure.
Is there a way that I can get better reference checks, or is there another option?
Look, the friends relative thing, that happens a little bit. We do see that. They'll say, this is my manager at XYZ Salon. Try and get a landline number all the time. Google the landline number, make sure it's connected to the salon. And ask them, go through. So when they're giving you their references, go through with them and say, so you worked at, this place for how long? Why did you leave? Did you leave on good terms? They can start explaining it. So if the last salon they worked at, they say, I don't want you to speak to my manager because they really weren't happy that I left for whatever reason. That's where I'd be saying, well, look, I need to speak to them just to make sure that, you're reliable, you're coming into work, you're hitting your KPIs, etc. So I need to speak to that person, but is there someone else that was in a management position or a colleague as well that I can speak to? So at least you're getting, 1 or 2 differing viewpoints. We always do a little Facebook stalk as well.
I do that.
I'm sure you all do that.
Yeah.
Something that I find as well is if they've got lots of posts, poor me, why is this happening to me?
Memes. Yeah.
And if they've got photos of their work, especially more so for hairdressers, eyelash techs, etc., if they've got photos of their work in a portfolio, it shows that they're obviously passionate about the industry, and you can see from their work and a technical side what they're like. If they've been in the industry for a while and they've got no photos of their work, I'd be seeing that as a real big red flag that they maybe don't have the skill set, or maybe they're not passionate about the industry. But yeah, references, landline, try and talk to the owner manager. I know if you're going to get bad feedback, you're going to get bad feedback.
Yeah.
But at least if you can try and ask those KPI questions, reliability.
I think it's more about they don't want you to speak to the manager or the owner because they're not going to shed a good light. And it's true, they could be great, they could be good, but when somebody leaves, I don't know if it's everywhere else, but it's a big thing that people are nasty.
Wow.
When somebody leaves, and even this is years and years ago, and I was in the manager, I was a manager, but when I left, they tried to sue me because yeah. So they tried to sue me for opening up my own salon. So it's nasty here. So I just find that really difficult. I think it's great you're saying, well, I can still speak to them and somebody else. I've never tried that angle, but it kind of has been a bit of a hurdle that I've been stumped with, because I actually personally understand them not wanting me to speak to somebody that's going to shed bad light.
Sorry, Chrissy.
I was just going to say, I would probably try and still get on the phone to that person, because, with your people skills, you can tell whether someone's batshit crazy on the other end of the phone. You know what I mean? And as long as you've got the both the sides of the story, because I can remember one time I did a referee check, and the business owner to me was batshit crazy.
Yeah.
She was like, she's done this and she's done that, and she doesn't take any responsibility, and she was off the chain. Yeah. And I thought, wow, that's full on. And I also got an insight into if there was an element of truth about some of these things, at least if I still hire this person, okay, because it's up to me, I can take a risk here, and somewhere in the middle between both of them is the truth. Okay, but I've been able to expose myself to the two polarized views of this situation. We've got innocent person over here that, you know, butter wouldn't melt in their mouth being the candidate. And then you've got the big crazed nutter of a, you know, however they've presented their past manager or business owner over here. So the middle ground's the truth, right? But you know, and I got a really horrible reference for somebody, and I ended up hiring them. I said, look, I just want to let the person at the time, though, was so naive, they didn't realise that the person was actually going to give them a really negative, what's it called, reference. Check. Otherwise, she wouldn't have sent me there. So I came to her and I gave her the feedback. I said, look, I just want to let you know, these are some of the things that have been disclosed as part of your referee check, because I want to give you the benefit of being able to respond to some of that. And if I feel secure about some of your responses, then I think maybe we'll proceed and we'll just see how it goes. And look, the candidate, there were elements of truth of what the batshit crazy business operator was saying. She didn't end up being a good fit for us. She probably wasn't, you know, to the extent that the operator was, you know, claiming, but I don't think there's a problem with getting on the phone to these individuals, even though they're skewed in completely the other direction, just so that you can get all points of view on the situation.
True. Yeah.
And I would also be reading into how hard the candidate pushes against that as a red flag.
Yeah. Like even, you know, there might be one, but there should be some sort of professional reference check that wouldn't be like that, even if it's years ago.
Yeah. And you can tell with the resume as well, if obviously, you know, if they've job hopped a lot, it's a big red flag. Because of COVID, there have been more people job hopping because they were let go or, you know, whatever happened. Just making sure you get really clear when you go through the resume with them. Why did you leave here? What happened here? How long in between, you know, did you go from this one to this one? If it starts being a repetitive story of, well, I was bullied, or it was, you know, their fault, obviously those are big red flags as well. If they're speaking ill of their current employer or an employer that they've just left as well, it's a big red flag.
I find that hard too, because a lot of people do, particularly young ones, speak poorly of their ex-employers, and it's like, you can have that conversation with your friends, not with somebody who you're applying to. It was unprofessional.
And you can do it in a way, like I've seen people do it well, where they go, look, you know, we'll let you know that we probably didn't see eye to eye in the end, and these are some of the reasons why. Well, as long as it's presented in a professional manner, shit happens with relationships, you know, but if they go to that extreme where they're like, oh, she was horrible and she had severe mental health issues and she was, you know, and there's an over disclosure there, you think, whoa, too much information here, then it's probably not good.
Definitely.
Other questions, guys, for Kiara?
I have a little question. So when you are talking about pay rate and things like that, like my issue is if I hire someone and they, you know, they've got all these skill sets and they like look great, and I hire them and I put them on a higher pay rate, I feel like my current team would get their back up about it and be like, well, why is she on this? Like, she hasn't had to prove herself. Like, I've been here for this long and I'm, you know. So how would you recommend, or what would you sort of do in that situation?
It's a really hard one. We get this question all the time when we're even advertising for the role. If we're advertising $30 to $35 an hour for a senior hairdresser and one of their staff's on $28 an hour, you have to look after your current team. It's so important to look after your current team first and foremost before looking to hire outside. It doesn't matter, you know, obviously if you're really needing someone, it's not worth bringing someone in for two people to walk out. So I guess you'd hope that people would keep things confidential in regards to pay, but I know that doesn't always happen in this industry. It's really working out, you know, are they worth this amount of money? So looking at their career history. You know, if this person's got 10 years experience, a lot more experience than your current team or someone in your current team, and they've produced better results, then, you know, maybe that's a reasoning behind it, that they can bring more to the table, they can bring more in for you. But it's a very hard question. Do you own is it a beauty or a hair salon?
Beauty, skin mainly.
Okay. Yeah, look, I mean, it's going to depend on where they've worked before, their results before as well. But it's a very hard question because they all do talk. It's not like you can bring it up in a group setting and discuss everyone's wages in front of each other and being open and honest. But if the new team member can bring something in, if they're proving their results in front of the other staff, so if they're getting lots of rebookings, if they're getting, you know, selling bigger packages, if they're getting really good results, if they're bringing something in, that will show the team why they're worth that much. And it might even be a little boost for the current team to start rebooking more and selling higher packages as well. So again, there's no super clear answer on that. It would just be, I would just recommend, like, staff retention in this industry is ridiculous. So it's really just about working with the current team, making sure that they're happy, having those one-on-ones with them as well regularly, and just checking in, you know, are you happy with your pay rate? Do you want to be earning more? Let's work out a clear path for you between us for how you can earn more. It's not comparing them to that other person as much.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yep. Thank you.
Lise, have you got any questions?
Not really. The pay rate is one of our biggest issues at the moment. And just knowing that, like, we've always, I guess, sold ourselves not on being the highest pay rate, but other things that we offer. We don't think we've employed a full-timer in quite some time because everybody wants those flexible hours. And we've set ourselves up so that we can go younger in the industry so that we don't have to, we can employ people who are still passionate rather than the people who are just chasing the dollar and, you know, I want to define my lifestyle and how much I want for it, and I'm not going to come in and be flexible. And that's been quite successful for us when we could easily fill another, 5-6 people. So it's definitely a big hole. Overseas, I'd probably be interested to hear what people have, like, if anybody's employed anyone on a sponsorship visa and successes and challenges with that.
It's very murky with sponsorship. Obviously, it's a hell of a lot of money to sponsor someone. It's a lot of paperwork. You've got to make sure that you're eligible for sponsorship first off. We are working with a few of our clinics and salons to advertise overseas for candidates. We've had one, a salon in Sydney CBD. They've recently hired someone who's in the UK. So basically we put an ad on Seek, but we put it under UK or Ireland. And it's really reaching out to those people that are already looking to relocate. So they've already got everything starting to come into place. And this man, he'd already worked in Melbourne previously as well, so we knew it was going to be an easy transition for them. But he had a really high skill set, really good references, really good portfolio as well. So it was worth it to them to get him to come over. And because he had worked in Australia before, it was easier to see the standard of his work as well. I would look at that as a last resort, because you can't trial them. You're really outlining all of these costs to your business. A lot of paperwork, as I said, straight away before even getting them to come over. It's more I'd say reach out to people that are overseas already looking to come over, that have come over before. and from, you know, obviously you need to make sure that their English is good so they can communicate. You need to make sure that the country that they were working in has the same standards as we do in regards to services. Whether it's the same for hair, for example, if it's a country that works on the same type of hair that we do as well. I'd look at we've had a few beauty ones. We had one up in the Northern Territory. I think she hired about 4 girls from overseas, from UK, Ireland. It was really successful. But again, it's taking a big risk. So with sponsorship, you can usually trial someone or have someone on your books for up to 6 months before you actually have to sign that paperwork, pay the money, get them sponsorship. So it can work if they're already coming into the country or if they're already here. But personally, if it were my business, unless I knew this person somehow, that they'd worked for a friend of mine or something like that, I wouldn't risk it. I just don't think it's worth it, and they could leave as well.
So just to get that right, so say you've got someone that wants to come over, they're looking for a sponsorship. So there is a 6 months grace on actually formalizing that arrangement for business owners. So let's just say, you want to experiment with this route. You find someone that was already intending to relocate. So, you know, work visa wise and all of that sort of stuff, they were already having things in the pipeline. You could have them over on trial for 6 months before you committed to a sponsorship.
Correct. You'd have to speak to a migration lawyer throughout that time as well. Most of them are free advice. At least you can just Google migration lawyers. Most of them are fantastic. So you can do that, or you've got people that are currently in the country. But look, if you're, for example, if it's a senior hairdresser that you're looking for, you've been searching for months and months, you can't find anyone, and you're looking at trying overseas market, I'd be looking at 2nd or 3rd years first to train them up. You know, you can go, if you've already gone 6 months desperately needing a senior hairdresser, I'd be more inclined to look at an advanced 3rd year or 2nd year and really spend my time with them if you've got the capacity to do that.
Yeah. And then I don't know, because again, this is probably immigration sort of information, but beauty and skin have been making noise around wanting to get classification to hairdressers. We've got that skilled workforce. What is it?
National skills shortage list.
Yeah, skills shortage. And I know that there was some talk about, for skin and beauty, that they would allow skill shortage managers, and I don't know about the loopholes around all of that sort of stuff, but do you know anything about where any of that's up to as far as getting?
No, not 100% sure.
Okay.
No, we try and focus with our business more on staff retention and staff recruitment rather than getting into the legalities, because we are national. It changes from state to state as well, and I would hate to give someone the wrong advice and it be really costly. So anything like that, I'd be speaking to migration lawyers about.
Okay, awesome.
Sorry, I wish I could be more help, but I just don't want to give the wrong advice.
Good.
So what do you guys actually do? Like, what's your company do?
So basically what we do is we recruit for salons. So we find out from you who you're looking for, what you can offer. It's not just pay rate, as I said before, it's all other types of incentives, and we help you be competitive in your area as well. So we write an ad for you, and we do a really large scale advertising campaign for 30 days. So we use Seek as well. We always use the standout ads on Seek, where it's got your logo, 3 key selling points. It's one up from the classic. We use Indeed. We've got a really big database of candidates as well. So we've been building this database for 11, almost 12 years now. So we send the offer out to them a couple of times throughout the campaign, trying to entice them to apply. Those people, I'm not going to pretend I've got beauty therapists and senior hairdressers just sitting around waiting for jobs. Most of them are currently in work, but it's just that soft way of headhunting. And then we do a big social media campaign as well for 30 days. So we can offer you as much help or as little help as you need as well. So we've got really low price packages where we just write the ad and do the advertising, reach out to our database, and then resumes come through to you to screen them. Or we've got other packages where we receive the resumes. You have your own recruitment consultant that goes through the resumes, contacts them straight away, ask them all the pertinent questions, and they tend to, because we're the middleman, they tend to be a little bit more honest with us and open up to us a little bit more. And we can do everything. We can book interviews, all of that for you as well. So it's really, I think, because we only deal with hair and beauty. I've been in this industry for 6 years now, working for National Salon and Spa, and it's been very eye-opening. I came from a corporate background. I've never seen an industry like this. It's absolutely crazy. So it's really just working with you to understand what the market's like, being realistic with what the market's like, and trying to, as I said earlier, just trying to broaden your search as much as possible, draw as many potential people in to work with as well. And we're here for advice the whole time as well. So if you've got questions, if you're not sure about someone that you've interviewed, you can always pick up the phone, give us a call, and we can run through it with you as well. We talk to candidates all day, every day.
Cool. And what's your pricing ranges from, like with your lower packages to your higher packages?
Lowest packages start from $399 plus GST, just depending on what the role is. And then our highest package starts from $1,599 plus GST. Yep. So we've got 3 different packages. With the 2 higher priced ones, basically, because it's higher pricing, we know it can be a timing factor of when people are looking and applying as well. With the 2 higher priced packages, if we don't present one person to you throughout the 30-day campaign, we rerun it again completely free for another 30 days for you, and that's whenever you choose. So if, just say you ran one now, we got until 30th of December, we didn't find anyone, and you thought, you know what, I need a break, I'll rerun again in February, or I'll rerun again in March, we can do that as well.
Okay, cool, thank you.
That's all right.
Any other questions, guys?
Is there a particular time of year that you find you get more success?
Look, it's from the first or second week of January. Obviously, you're getting more people applying. So because everyone's gotten through the Christmas rush, it's New Year, new me, wanting to apply. But it's also competitive because you've got all of the salons and all of the clinics advertising then as well. So look, we still get people applying up until Christmas. And over the Christmas break, the only time I wouldn't be advertising is from Christmas up until New Year. We get way less applicants then for obvious reasons. But if you are advertising now, if you're looking now, I'd be offering a flexible start date of 2022 or 2023, because people might start looking now, it's crazy Christmas time, you're sick of your boss, you're on the bus on the way home, or you're sitting there watching telly at night and you're on Seek having a look at a few things and think, you know what, I might even apply now and just start getting in talks for next year.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely first or second week of January is when the floodgates open and everyone starts applying. But as I said, that's when it's more competition. Yeah. Because everyone's looking then.
Yeah. And I've always encouraged in December, in particular, for our industry, just expression of interest ads, like so that there's a lower level of, there's no commitment there, but it's still getting people to go, oh, it's just an expression of interest. I'm not locked into anything. I am looking in the new year. How great. Like and then that way where all the other businesses are probably going, I'm not even going to bother in December. You're already jumping the gun on January.
Exactly.
Yep,
exactly.
Yep. We've got Danielle's just popped her head in. I don't know whether
Sorry. I'm just driving. I just come out of an appointment. I'm so sorry. I had to bring my Edison to a specialist appointment. So I've just running to another appointment now for myself. And I thought I'd just talk in and listen while I was in the car.
Okay. Is there anything in particular, any questions? You can go back and watch the recording, Dee. There's lots that we've covered a lot of things. But was there a particular question that you wanted to ask Kiara? So obviously it's around recruitment and the market at the moment.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask a question in regards to would like putting an ad out on the radio looking for a team get you anywhere, do you think? Because that's just something I've never done before, but I've just been I feel like I've done 100,000,001 things, but the only thing I haven't done is like putting an ad out actually on the radio as such. Do you think that would have any beneficial of attracting anyone or not really? Because you know how like you might capture the audience of someone who may not actually be currently looking for a job, but then they're like, actually maybe I would like to work there.
Look, you could. I think it would be very expensive. I've got a couple of friends that work in radio. We were looking at promoting our business through radio. It was actually cheaper to put on TV than radio.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Do you know what? My thoughts on it is your demographic listening to the radio? Because I don't. Like, I'm Spotify.
Yeah.
That's that's my first thought that came to my head.
And you've got to look at the timing as well. You know, most people are at work during the day as well. Look, I think, from what I looked into with radio, it was very expensive. I'd be looking at, if you're looking at saving costs, but looking outside the square, look at Facebook groups. And not just the big hair and beauty groups, the local groups. So I'd search any variation of, just say you're a beauty salon, any variation of beauty in wherever you are, beauty in Queensland, beauty in Brisbane, beauty in Adelaide, any variation of that, and start posting in there. Not big ads. I'd be putting in there, you know, just a little summary of who you are, who you're looking for, encourage them to give you a call, PM you. You want to make it as easy as possible for them to reach out to you, and make it as casual as possible as well. It's just a chat. You can reach out to me. It's just a chat. But yeah, radio, good luck. I think it would be pretty expensive.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
No, that's all right. Sorry to burst your bubble. It's a great idea. Definitely a great idea to get it out in a different way.
I just think that for the amount of money that I spend on advertising for staff, it would probably weigh up the same anyway, to be honest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And like I'm in Cairns, so like the radio advertising isn't that big in Cairns. Like it isn't that expensive. They can do you really good deals and stuff. But yeah, I just think weighing up how much money I've actually spent on like Seek ads and things like that, it's been a lot. I've spent a lot of money.
Yeah. Is it just Seek that you're using?
Oh, like Seek, Indeed, like all different aspects, I suppose. I'm just trying to do everything that I can to get some staff. But where I am in Cairns at the moment, it's really hard to get staff because it's a very transient place.
Mm-hmm.
And like people who do have jobs, like a lot of people just work for themselves there.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a different market. It's kind of hard to get people.
Have you got anything up on Seek at the moment?
Yeah.
Do you want to, I can have a look at your ad if you like and see if I've got any pointers for you and see if we can do anything to potentially help. I was just telling the girls before, we've got a big database of candidates, so we could potentially reach out to them. And that's for all of you. If you've got a current ad on Seek at the moment, we don't normally do this, but we're trying to help everyone save money at the moment. So if you've got a current ad on Seek, we can look at it. Depending how long you've got left with it, if it's fairly recent-ish, I can have a look at it, make some recommended changes to the ad. We can send it out to our database. We can put it on Indeed and weekly on our social media, and we can do that just for $195 plus GST.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to do that, did you want to send the team out my contact details maybe, Chrissy?
Yeah.
And David?
We'll pop it in the Muscle Mind Voxer group, guys. Kiara's
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yep.
And even if you just want to have a chat, just feel free to call me. There's no charge for a chat. So feel free to give me a buzz.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just had a quick question. When you talk about that you guys specialize in recruitment and what did you say, recruitment and like retaining?
Retention, yep.
Yeah, retention. So how do you do the retention part?
So retention, it's more, I guess we don't do anything around that side. It's more about just making sure that you've got all those policies and procedures in place that you're following. So making sure that you're checking in with your team regularly, one-on-one, working towards their goals as well, making sure when you are recruiting for new staff that what's in the ad isn't going to get the current team offside as well. More about, career progression for them, creating new opportunities, just I guess it's not a service that we offer. I think it's probably just because we've all been working in this industry for so long in recruitment, it's just innate knowledge now that we know. We see such a high staff turnover. It's more about if you've got specific questions around that, just feel free to ask us because we've seen it all.
Cool, thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions, guys? Oh, beautiful. Well, thanks so much, Kiara. It's been good to touch base with you and get your insights. We're definitely sort of the philosophy of trying anything really, like different things, and being really strategic in the way that we recruit and that sort of thing, with mixed success. Obviously, we keep consistent and we keep sort of plodding away and being positive about, that just being that one candidate away from getting someone that is, really good quality and going to be great for the business. So it is good to hear from someone else because I've always got opinions or views on what we should and shouldn't be doing, but it's been good to hear from you guys.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. And it's, it is. Look, it's a funny market. It's a funny industry, but I want you to know we are getting success. So with senior hairdressers, for example, I know it's super competitive. We're probably getting a 50-50 hire rate at the moment, which doesn't sound great, but in this market, it is pretty good. So looking at all of those different strategies and just thinking outside the square a little bit more can open you up to people that you might not have considered previously, but could be really good long-term staff for you.
So the positive slant on this is that it's getting better.
It is
not
definitely.
as bad as what it was.
Yes, definitely. Probably the last 6 months or so, it's starting to pick up. So it's starting to get a lot more positive.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Kiara, I'm so sorry. I know I wasn't in the Zoom and you probably answered this question already. But in regards to when you get candidates come through, do you pre-screen them before you pass them on to me, or you pass everyone on to me?
We can. So we've got different price packages. I'll send Chrissy, maybe if you flick me an email, I'll send you through all the packages and the prices. So we can do everything, or we can do very little amount. It's completely up to you. My biggest recommendation though is if you're screening them yourself and the resumes are coming direct to you, you need to contact them ASAP, and I'm talking within a few hours. If they don't, and that's phone call. If they don't answer the phone, voicemail and a text message. In the text message, ask them when are they free for a chat. Don't email, but if you leave it a day or two, we're seeing people getting snapped up like that. I'm sure you're all aware, but it's my biggest point
just
to
getting that rhythm clear. Like you've got to jump on it. Like there's time frames. It's the good one. I say to them all the time, the good ones don't stay on the market, they get snapped up.
Exactly.
I found that applies to getting them in salon as well. So we try and talk to them within that couple of hours. Like they get a message, unless they apply overnight, within minutes of the application popping in. And then we try and get them into the salon within 2 days. Fantastic.
Yeah. And it's working. And especially there's some that might say, I can't get there for a week. Whatever the reason. Okay, are you free for a FaceTime? Can we do a quick FaceTime? It's just keeping in contact with them, or unfortunately you lose them to somewhere else. So that's great, Lisa.
Awesome. All right, amazing. So Dave, if you just want to follow up on those packages and the contact details for Kiara and get that through to the guys, it's been really an awesome session. So thanks heaps for that.